Guardians? Okay, so I'm going to get right to the chase. Just finished watching the Supermarket Psychology episode of Extra Credits on YouTube. Go watch them. It's really fun. I do recommend it. Strongly recommend it. Not only these guys gamers and geeks in general, but they have some serious psychology backgrounds into the design of things. And on that note, it made me think a lot about Destiny. Now, and of course, obviously, in reference to my own hot takes that I've been getting from Destiny, or my own perceptions and opinions. I have not played with my own fire team for a very long time. Occasionally, I'll play with one or two members of the clan that I'm in, but for the most part, I do random matchmaking, and I've pretty much been playing like that for, I have to say, at least a good 2 years, which coincidentally seems to coincide about the time when I start realizing that a lot of the shit that we chase in this game, all these journeys, all this collection, all these triumphs and trophies, flair, and shit like that, all these records and crap, it all meant very little to me. I mean, it kind of wasn't really my focus to begin with in the game. I was collecting all the exotics. I was trying to get all the weapons and all the armor. Didn't care too much about all these things down here. And I wasn't really chasing the medals. I mean, the medals that I have, the titles that I have, all happened more or less out of the fact that I just kept playing. I would just play so much. I'm going to make this quick. But anyway, it dawned on me. You think about the activities that we do where we have to form our own fire teams, like Grandmaster Nightfalls or Legendary Nightfalls or the Raid or any of the dungeons. If you're not prepared to solo that stuff, you go out and you find people to play with. Typically, they're going to be people that you play with on a regular basis. They're going to be your friends, your clanmates, so maybe there'll be an LFG group that you pick up. But the point is that guess what's going to be one of the things you do while you're in that fire team? You're going to be talking with them. You're going to be discussing strategy and tactics. You're going to be trying to coordinate loadouts and make sure you get the most efficient damage out, and who's got the who's working support, who's going to be working defense, who's going to be working attacks, that kind of stuff. But in between all that, in the quiet moments, which surprisingly, there's a lot of quiet moments in the Nightfalls, more so than in just the basic version of the Strike, when you think about it. And in the raids and dungeons particularly, you know how I'm always complaining about, man, I hate this Strike, it's always fucking hike, it's basically playing Death Stranding with fucking, laser pistols. It's because during those quiet moments, what else are you going to be doing? You're going to be just comparing notes. Because that's what people do. That's what gamers do. Especially if they're collector types, like I used to be. They're going to be saying, well, have you gotten the blah, blah, blah gun? Or have you gotten the new blah, blah, blah armor? Or how about this? Or have you heard about this particular exotic? Or have you, hey, I see you're sporting that title. I got that title, such and such. And what does that do? What does that do? In a group dynamic, in a social dynamic. Oh, fuck me. That's encouraging the Me Too moments. That's encouraging the keep up with the Jones principles, if you will. Which is why those activities that you have to form your own fire teams typically will take a good amount of your time. You go into a heroic Nightfall, you're going to be done in about roughly 15, 20 minutes. Hopefully not longer than that, otherwise you're going to start taking problems. You go into a Grandmaster, and it's going to take you about 45 minutes to an hour to play. You go into a raid, if you're, an average player, not much of a sweat lord, it's going to probably take you about 45 minutes to an hour and a half, which is a big spread. That's like, oh yeah, you stood between 5 and 8 feet tall. But the point I'm trying to make here is that the longer you spend with these people on headset, listening to them talking, whether you're talking or not, listening to their banter back and forth, you're going to want to puff it in. You're going to want to fit in with everybody else. You're going to want to fucking compare notes. You're going to want to basically, measure things out, so to speak. And that's all by design. And it's been by design since the very beginning of Destiny 1. So, like I said, wrap this up with a point and a high recommendation to go watch the Extra Credits episode of the Supermarket Psychology. You're going to have your mind blown if you're not already thinking about that kind of stuff. Like, I kind of do all the time myself. Group psychology has been like a hobby of mine since I was very little. I'm kind of segueing and wandering off topic a little bit, but there was a game that my parents used to play with me when we were, we would go shopping, and it was obvious that my little ADHD brain was starting to fucking lose focus, and I was thinking about, pranking things, pranking people. Jeez, don't be so sociopathic. Yeah, it was people watching. My mom and my dad would look at me and they says, "Hey, see that person over there? Tell me their story." And none of it was just a way for me to get my imagination going and keep me interested and engaged in this environment that I was in, but it was also a way to kind of start, reading people and understanding who or what they were. And there were more than a few times where, very kind of scarily, I actually predicted who was in the store that they were waiting for and what they came out with. And it's a fun little thing you could try, just kind of like a sideline experiment. Next time you're out in public, touching grass or whatever it is you're doing, just pick a random person and just try to write their story, but not don't speak out loud. Of course, obviously that'd be very rude, and just see how close you get later on as you observe them. Anyway, that's about all I got to share. Thank you for stopping by, and realize that you are being gamed every fucking minute in this game. So how do you flip the tables on them and game them? Laters.